Hello everyone, my name is Brianna Hoffines, and for my fractions project I am working with low level grade 5th grade, and on this project I named it A Way to Double Recipes. I just wanted to work on fractions and see how to help kids best learn how to multiply fractions, how to multiply by fractions, and kind of incorporate some division with it. So some objectives of this activity that I planned was to review how to multiply whole numbers, and then fractions, or more so how to multiply whole numbers by fractions and then fractions by fractions. We will be using like a cookie recipe to double or triple to half, but just to see how to convert those numbers into larger or smaller portions. And some of the things that we'll also be doing is like reviewing the rules of how multiplication and division works with fractions. And another thing is we're going to have the objective to try and encourage kids to think critically about how multiplication and division works and why it's such a way. Because as we know, when we multiply or when we divide by a fraction, we have to copy dot flip, and so we're going to go over how we can apply that into our assignment. So the Common Core alignment that we'll be working with is fractions 5NF, or the standard 5.NF.3. And this is what it says in the Utah Core Standards. Interpret the product A/B times Q as a part of the partition of it into B equal parts, equivalently as a result of a sequence of operations A times Q divided by B. For example, use visual fraction models to show 2/3 times 4 equals 8/3, and create a story context for this equation. Do the same with 2/3 times 4/5 equals 8/15. In general, A over B times C over D equals AC over BD. So this is kind of like with the scenario of working with cookies. We're trying to multiply this number by a fraction or a whole number, and since the recipe can either be in whole numbers or fractions, it'll be interesting to see how we can get those numbers to show the quantity we need. Some prerequisite knowledge we'll need is how to compare objects more than, less than, the same, or differentiate part from a whole, so to know the size of the fraction and what to kind of expect in the outcome if we double it. So if we had like 1/2, we should know 1/2 is going to be 1. When we double it, it's not going to be like 1/4, because as we know, when you do 1/2 plus 1/2, it may look like it's going to be 1/4 because you think you're going to add all the bottom together, but in reality it's just going to be 1. So materials that we'll be needing are going to be doubling a recipe. I found a quick and easy recipe on Nestle Toll House chocolate chip cookie recipe. And then another resource that we'll be using is a video by Math with Mr. J, and he's just going to do a reviewing video of how to multiply and divide fractions and by fractions. And this will go right into our assignment. So the lesson plan itself will be, we're going to kind of talk about how we kind of like add fractions in a sense, since multiplication is adding fractions together. So if we were to do one simple way to help us visualize that we're adding, we could do like 1/3 plus 1/3, and when you put the pieces together we get 2/3. And so we could write that out as 1/3 times 2, which equals 2/3. And the reason this works is because 2/1 equals 2, and so we just multiply across. So that'll be our little discussion. We'll try to review the rules of copy dot flip. And so before we start the actual assignment, I'll give them a few problems. And so one of the ones I have is if we wanted 3 times 1/3, we just write that on the board and try to work that out as a class. At first, I'll have them work independently, see, and then talk with their neighbor, and then we'll collectively as a group go over it. And we're gonna do a few problems like that, but if we're still having trouble, I'm gonna pull up the video just to kind of help kids, and we'll pause in between to see if anyone's having confusion or if they need a little more help understanding. And then the next thing we'll do is we'll review how to multiply fractions together. This one will be like the first problem that we'll bring up is 3/4 times 1/2. And this is gonna kind of simulate the part that we're gonna half a recipe in the second part of the assignment. And then one way that it's written out is like with 3/4 divide by 2. So obviously it's gonna be hard to divide, so we're gonna go over the rules of copy dot flip, and that will help them get through the assignment. And then I will hand out the assignment after we kind of review these rules. But the assignment's gonna be like Sally's needing to triple a family recipe or need to triple a recipe for a family gathering. And so this is going to require them to work on their multiplying. And then Sally's gonna have another occasion where she doesn't need the same number of cookies, but she needs to half the recipe. And so I came up with this idea because I thought working with numbers in baking is hard, especially when you need to multiply and remember the amount if you're triple or doubling it. And so it's just fun to write it out and see. And yeah, the actual assignment itself, it's going to be very simple. At the top, we're going to have a few solve these problems like we would in the beginning of the lecture. And then we'll go down and we'll have Sally needs to triple her recipe. Find out how to triple her recipe. And then even further down, it'll be like Sally needs to cut her recipe in half. How would we do that? And at the end, we'll just have a group discussion and see whatever patterns they find and see, and just have fun with it. And maybe have some cookies at the end. I hope you guys enjoy this and have a great day.